And you did the first comedy special on HBO.
Robert Klein did the first one. I did the second, and the same year, 1976.
But there was, I think it was 77.
Seven.
But there was you had nothing to compare it to. So what were your expectations? Were you just, I'm going to go out and do stand-up, and it's going to translate on...
Well, all it is a picture of what you do. You know,
right.
It's like taking a picture of a violin player or a baseball player. They do what they do, and the pictures are transmitted to someone's house.
Right.
The picture doesn't change anything. So commercial television, of course, is a completely different animal, and we can talk about that and its pluses and minuses,
right.
mostly minuses.
Right.
But HBO there is no, obviously, there are no commercials, and there's no looking over your shoulder at content. In fact, they encourage it.
Right.
If you had to come down to it, they'd say, no, do that. But they never did, but I know they would. So all it is a picture of what I do in theaters, and that was a boon to me, because my record career had run its course. I'd had 4 gold albums, and then I had 2 that were more like nickel or something. Some sort of molybdenum, maybe. But that had run its course. I wasn't the hot new guy in town anymore. And I was in a kind of a drift. And this tax thing, well, the tax thing came on a couple of years later, but HBO came along. And I realized I had a way to reach a mass audience with nothing interfering with the content as on records as you can. And here you had the addition of the picture, the video, the body, and you could add physicality. So it has been the backbone of my career, HBO, no question. I mean, it feeds my box office. My box office feeds the viewership, right. And it's just a lovely dance we do now.
Do you have a favorite bit?
Not so much a favorite bit. I have some that I'm very, very proud of, more so because I think they didn't get as much exposure as they should have. I had, from the 1986 show called Playing With Your Head, I had 2 things in there that I think are really nice because they almost have a mathematical feeling to them. One of them is love and regards, hello, goodbye, how we say hello, how we say goodbye, and how we tell each other to bring love. Bring my love to Jake.
Oh, I love that.
Give my regards to Helen.
Right.
And I really broke that down. I love looking way past the obvious part of things. And the other one was losing things, how we react when we've lost something, and where you keep going back. There's a place you keep looking in the top drawer, even though it's not there. You just it's supposed to be there, so you go back there. You think maybe St. Anthony put it there in your absence. You look in the oddest places. If you lose your car keys, you look in the freezer because you think, well, I brought home the frozen banana guacamole. I had my car keys in my hand. I might have set them down. I have to look. No, they're not in there. If you have a tractor in the barn, you look in the tractor glove compartment because they just might be there. So it was a long take on that. Variations on the familiar is a wonderful thing because the audience's frame of reference is in place, and you don't need to set up. You don't need any exposition except your own departure from the norm.
The airport thing is the fact that they call something a terminal in the airport is
right. Yeah, and sometimes before the fast foods got in there, you would see the terminal luncheonette, and some of the food fit that description too. But all the airport language is in there. The whole thing of airline announcements and the fact that they say. Before leaving the aircraft, check around your immediate seating area. And I say, seat. It's a seat. It's a goddamn seat. For any personal belongings. Personal. Did they think that I had brought a statue from the park? You know? Of course they're my personal belongings that you may have left on board. Well, I may have left my Shoshone Arrowhead collection on board. I didn't bring it with me, therefore it's not there. When they tell you they say, welcome to Los Angeles, they are just arriving themselves. They're barely a millisecond, and they're welcoming me. And they say where the local time is. Well, what were they? Did they think I was looking for the time in Oslo? Of course it's the local time. And they always blame the captain. The captain has turned on the. I'm sure he didn't say turn on the seatbelt sign. Captain, and I say, you tell the captain Air Marshal Carlin says go fuck himself.
It's unbelievable. There's one thing that I thought. Wait, where? All right, the thing about the tornado. Oh, yeah. You know what you never hear about? A bunch of Jews being hit by a tornado.
Yeah, it's true. You ever hear it? Tornado swept through a Jewish community today. You just never hear that.
Wait, this is hilarious. When writing a letter of reference for a friend, give him a glowing recommendation, but just for fun, conclude by saying, "Don't let Dave's legal history trouble you. There's reason to believe the little girl was lying."
Yeah. You see, now to me, what makes that fun to write
Right.
is the phrase "there is reason to believe."
Right.
It would be easy to say the little girl was lying and you'd have the same joke. But when you just do that little softer sort of entrance, it's just something nice about finding a better way in
Right.
to the joke that just gives it just a nicer, richer, deeper feeling. That's the writer part that I didn't
Right.
know if I had until I'd done it for a while.
And also, there's a musicality to it as well.
Yeah, there's some balance and some euphony. There's a word.
Nice.
Sure. Wow.
So, who were your idols and mentors? Because no one really was doing what you were doing. So, where did you look?
Well, of course, they were all doing it each in his own way.
Right.
Spike Jones on record, on phonograph records. Roger Hogan lived at 537. He had a Spike Jones album, which at that time was a true album. It's like a photo album. It's a series of pages, and 78 RPMs came in a series of sleeves in a binder, and that's, I think, where the word album started. But he had all these sides by Spike Jones, and the thing I liked about that was the anarchy involved, the destruction of something that previously had been considered nice or pretty or beautiful. The Marx Brothers in the movies did that. There was an anarchy. I didn't know these things at the time, but I see now what the appeal was. Fred Allen, on the other hand, on the radio, it was intellectual. It was wit. It was really, and it was the way of twisting thoughts and ideas and words and so forth. And then in the movies, I saw you Bob Hope and Skelton. But I kind of outgrew them. Danny Kaye disappointed me. He was, if I never have had what I'd call heroes or idols. I don't like those words, but if there was anyone who may have fit that description, it would be Danny Kaye. I used to write to MGM to get the lyrics. I saw the name Sylvia Fine, lyrics by Sylvia Fine. I didn't know it was his wife. And I'd write, "Dear Sylvia Fine, please send me the words to Rim-Pam-Pam-Bay," or whatever the thing was. I never got an answer, of course. But he one day was waiting. I was waiting to get an autograph. I collected autographs, not in a manic sense, but I liked getting autographs in the 40s. And I waited for Danny Kaye at Radio City Music Hall, where he was the live portion of the show. And I waited there for an hour or so at the stage door. It was a rainy day. I wasn't in the rain, but it was cold and it was wet. And I was the only one waiting. And I waited and waited. I knew he'd be coming back because they said he was out before the show. And I knew what time the show would be. And I waited. It was about 6:30 at night, and I knew my mother would be mad. And he came and he walked right past me. He wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't say a word. And that, I don't know. And then I used to see him later posing with these children for UNICEF, and I really didn't believe it. You know? But it was an awakening, and I always like to just tell that story because it just sends me back to that feeling of having someone that you looked up to, and then they sort of crush it. You know? Yeah.
But you have never done it. Gary
No.
Shandling even said. That he came to you and said, "Will you read my stuff?" You were at a club in Tucson, right?
Yeah.
And
well, it's just, there's just a kind of a normal humanity that you exercise with people. I always have time for people because I know that for them in that day, it's a big moment. I may have 10 times that day when someone makes a little fuss over me, but it's the only time that week or that month or that year maybe that they meet someone that they want to make a fuss over. So it's important to honor that moment and to let it be as alive as it can.
Do you have any regrets?
No. Wasting 9 years in school, probably. I quit after 9th grade. No, no regrets, of course. No, nothing that I would do differently because then the result would have been different.
Right.